All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. My name is Mike Garcia. I am the marketing manager here at iMatrix, and today's webinar is on the recipe for an irresistible website. We are going to go ahead and go over some of these topics as well as just kind of let you know a few things, some house cleaning items. First off, we will have this recorded, so in case you are not able to stay for the full webinar, it should only be about 30 minutes or so. It'll be a fairly short webinar, pretty quick. A lot of information will be covered in this webinar, as well as the fact that anyone that has registered or even attended will get a copy of this in an email, in a follow-up email. If you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and type them through the question module. We'll go ahead and answer those at the end of the presentation. I will make sure to go in the order that they are received, but feel free to go ahead and type them in during the webinar. That way, if it is on top of mind, you can go ahead and feel free to put it there, and then I'll make sure to answer it at the end. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started here. So again, my name is Mike Garcia. Oops, there we go. I am the marketing manager here, and of course, we've been in business for about 15 plus years or so. We are Google AdWords Premier Partners, and we have a lot of different insight and different information regarding how your website should perform, and especially how it should perform for you and your business. We're going to go over today the basics of website structure, how to write engaging content. That is kind of one of those topics that a lot of people aren't too sure about. I'm not a writer. I don't know how to, write some engaging content. We're going to kind of help you out with that, give you some tips on what you can do and what some easy tricks are to actually writing content. Because to be honest, a lot of people can't write. I personally am not a writer, but I know I can probably put some writing down on some stuff and make it engaging enough to where people will want to go to that page and obviously from then convert into the office itself. Next, of course, is going to be designing the look and feel. That's going to be very, very important. And, of course, how to incorporate your branding. If you do have some kind of branding going on with your current practice, the best thing to do is make sure that it is consistent across the board, whether it is through the practice, any kind of collateral you guys might have or brochures, all the way through online pieces, whether it's social media, banner images, your website in general, should really just kind of be a mirror image of your office, of your practice itself. So making sure that that branding is on point is definitely going to be a huge tip to help this out. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and start with the basics of website structure. So because it's going to get the bulk of your website traffic, it's really essential for your homepage itself to convert as much traffic as possible into leads and into people that are actually going to be coming into your practice. What you want to do is you want to make sure that your headline itself is clear and simple. And the headline, of course, is going to be that first form of text that you're going to see either on the banner or in the copy of the content itself. Most of the time it's in the banner. When you see an image right there, the first image you see of a website, you're going to want to make sure that the copy itself, the content that's in that headline is eye-catching, something that's going to relate to people that are going to go to your website as well. Maybe if you add some things about what your practice offers, maybe you add a couple actual new patient offers, that kind of thing. Anything in general that kind of lets them know, hey, this is kind of what we do. Let me kind of actually show some examples real quick. I will go to imatrix.com. I'm just going to give you guys a couple examples. Obviously, we're not optometrists, but again, we do mention certain things. We kind of eat our own dog food, I guess you can say. So the headline itself, of course, is going to be your main piece right here. Now, as you can see, we kind of mentioned some things on our end as far as what we offer. We do offer free webinars, different resources, things like that. And as you can see, we do have the branding all throughout these different slides. Of course, it's going to match the different logos and everything else that we have. And of course, it's going to all link to these specific pages. So this is exactly the first thing that you want to make sure you have covered. If in your banner image you just have a plain image and it doesn't rotate or whatnot, that's not a problem. But again, you want to make sure that the content in that image, the copy itself, is going to be something that's going to give people an idea of what it is exactly. So going back to this slide, you want to make sure that that is a very big key part of it. And of course, an easy way to go about that is the services that you guys offer. If you offer specific services, maybe highlight those in those banner images, and then you can link to those specific pages. So since the goal is to really compel those visitors to dig deeper into the website as opposed to just the homepage itself, you want to include about 2, maybe 3 different calls to action. And a call to action, of course, is exactly what it is. It's calling someone to make an action. It's kind of steering them in the direction of where you want them to go. So whether it's schedule an appointment now, click here for a new patient offer, whatever it may be, that's going to entice them to want to click on it and to go to that specific page, maybe to take up on an offer that you have going on, something like that, where it's going to be, again, a call to them making an action, then again, which would be filling out a form or calling you guys to get into the office. Now, as far as other pages along with the services pages, what you also want to have is an About Us page, who you are. You want to include actual facts about your practice, not just the hype. You don't want to sell your practice. You want to give actual facts. And if those facts do kind of sell your practice, that's great. But you don't want to make it to where it just sounds kind of like the sales car salesman type of thing. I see that a lot in certain websites where, I go to the website, I look at the About Us page. If I'm looking for a dentist or if I'm looking for any kind of business in general, and I look and try to see, who I'm going to be working with, if it just looks like they're trying to sell something on me, it doesn't come off very genuine, and it kind of is a push-off for me. Now, I'm a little biased because I'm obviously in this industry, but I'm sure it works the same for everyone else. All consumers are the same way. If it seems like they're being sold something, they're more than likely to put their guard up, and they're just not going to really want to go any further on that. So make sure it's genuine. Make sure that you do obviously have, in any of your bios, you have your bio, your CV, all that stuff is in there. But you want to make sure to also personalize it and make it more human, so where you can have people relate to you. Maybe you talk about your favorite sports team, things that you like to do outside of the office, maybe what got you into this industry in general. Those going along with your other bios, whether it's the doctor's bios, the office manager, other staff members' bios, those kind of things. Maybe you don't have any bios on there. Just in general about the practice. When did it get started? Who you guys are, that kind of thing. Now, I'm just going to kind of, again, use us as a quick example just because it's the easiest one without trying to call out any current clients or whatnot. But as you can see, we have different ways of explaining where we came from and kind of when we got started and basically who we are today. And you can kind of do certain things like that. Obviously, you don't have to have the past, present, future type of layout. But again, just explaining who you guys are, maybe having a shot of the whole team is definitely one of those things that help get people to be a little more personalized, or see you as more human as opposed to just making them feel like a number. That's one of the worst things you can do, is making them feel like they're just another client walking in the door. If they can relate to you on something in particular, especially something that you like to do on the side or as a hobby, that makes it even easier for them to come in and refer other people that are like-minded to your practice. And of course, the last piece of that regarding the structure itself is making sure you have a clear Contact Us page. The Contact Us page itself is going to be very, very key because a lot of people tend to overlook it. They don't realize that it's not as easy getting to your practice as you think it is. Or you might be a little biased and think, okay, I know that I need to park in the back because, I work here, or this is my practice. I obviously know how that works. You have to get out of that mentality. A lot of people don't know that. Majority of the people, I'd say 99% of the people, probably have no idea if they've never been to your practice, if you have specifics like that where they have to park in the back, or they have, parking is limited, or whatever it may be. When it comes to specific industries that we work in, whether it's optometry, whether it's chiropractic, whether it's veterinary, they all tend to have kind of the same feel when it comes to different practice locations. And a lot of times they tend to be in either a plaza type of feel, where there's other businesses around. And for the most part, if there's a sign, like a street sign, it doesn't always say the practice name. It might just say optometry, or it might just say dentist, or it might just say chiropractor. That happens a lot. It happens a lot more than people think it does. And so giving people proper directions, even if you're close to a freeway, coming from north, coming from south, east, west, wherever it may be, to help that person find you guys. Because again, when someone's looking for services, when they're looking for a business, they're always going to look for the one that's the closest to them. If they're not the closest to them, they want to make sure it's the one that's easiest to get to. So you need to make that as easy as possible for the prospective consumer, the prospective client of yours, because if they don't know how to get there and there's no clear-cut directions on how to get to your office, then that's going to obviously be a problem, and they're not going to be able to get there. Now, as far as the next piece, which is, again, going to be covering on the content, you definitely want to make sure that you have specific pieces good to go. Now, when it comes to the content itself, the very first place I like to tell everyone to look towards is your services. That's going to be your bread and butter of the content. That's going to be essentially what you're going to be pulled up for in search rankings. That's going to be what people are going to be searching for in general on your website. Overall, that's going to be the massive meat and potatoes of this whole thing. You want to make sure that your content is engaging enough. And by what I mean by engaging is that it's not a lot of technical jargon that you speak to the mind of all the clients out there, that you want to make sure that people understand that this is the go-to place, the one-stop shop for all their needs regarding eye care. Now, when they go to your website, okay, and they're going to see all the different things that you offer, you want to make sure that when you have on your homepage isn't going to be stuffed with all these different services that you have on there. The homepage itself is going to be kind of a nod, a mention to these different services, that if they want more information, they can go to those individual service pages. And those individual service pages are going to be actually more in-depth on those specific services, one by one. And that'll begin to kind of enlarge, I guess you can say, your content library. You'll begin to have a larger library in general for SEO, a larger library in general just to have for content itself. And you're going to want to have that all available to where you can even maybe have specific services, specific offers, I guess you can say, towards those services. So that way you can link those offers. Maybe you have a coupon on the home page that links directly to that page itself. So there's a lot of different things as far as content goes that you can link between pages within your website, because at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have as many pages on your website available to where if someone's searching for something, it not only pulls up your home page, but it pulls up all these individual pages as well. So when someone searches for something and it pulls you up, it doesn't just pull up one page. You can have the ability to pull up 4, 5, or 6 pages or more based on how relevant your website content is based on what they're actually searching for. So put that recipe together. You want to put together all the services you have, all the things that you can possibly write pages about. And if there's a service that you think is going to be kind of long-winded, that you think you might need to kind of separate or segment, that's perfectly fine. I would definitely put it as a subcategory below that main topic. Maybe you want to talk about contact lenses, but then you want to go even further in depth on the different types of contact lenses. Then you can actually have a single page on contact lenses. Then you can have individual pages that link from that page to those pages about the individual one. So that way you have even more content than you actually really realize that you did. So think of it that way. Now, what you want to do is when you go through these different pages, make sure that you have it sound natural. You don't want to have it be stuffed with a ton of keywords. Obviously, you think, oh, well, I want to rank high. I want to have my SEO be proper. How do I do that without having any kind of keywords in there? Well, with one of the most recent updates, I want to say recent, it's probably been about a year and a half now, but in Google's terms, one of the more recent updates, the Hummingbird update, they actually are gearing more towards people that are a little more human sounding, I guess you could say, natural sounding, longer tail keywords, longer tail phrases. When someone's searching for something on their phone, whether it's Siri, on their Google phone, whatever it's Cortana on their Windows phone, they're going to ask more in the form of a phrase. They might ask more in the form of a question as opposed to just a robotic keyword to search for. And Google kind of notices that. They recognize that. So what they do is they go through and they make sure that all the different searches in the algorithms are matching that to be a little more longer phrased, longer tailed, more human-like. So as you're going through your content, make sure that you are just explaining it as if you were to explain it to someone in person. Make sure that when you're explaining it, that it obviously is going to naturally have those keywords in there, but don't overthink it. Don't overthink, oh, because I want to be pulled up for contact lenses, I need to mention contact lenses constantly in this page, because that's going to be what Google is going to look for, and that's going to pull up my page for when someone searches for contact lenses. Well, think of it this way. Let's think outside the box. When someone's searching for something, if I'm searching for someone, all right, let's say I'm searching for LASIK, okay? I'm not going to search, LASIK San Diego. I might have a longer tailed version of that. What are the benefits of LASIK? The pros and cons of LASIK, whatever it may be. Something where it's not just one word like LASIK, right? People are going to ask it in more of a phrase. So as you have that content laid out, as you are explaining the services that you provide and the do's and the don'ts and things like that, it's already going to come out naturally, okay? So keep that in mind when you are creating this content for those specific services, that you aren't overthinking the keyword aspect of it, because that's kind of gone away. Although we still use keywords, it's not as relevant as it was before. Now it's more relevant to having the content be relatable to what someone is asking or the phrase that someone's searching for, okay? So what you want to do is, again, along with that stay on track. You want to make sure that you have everything lined up in kind of what we consider the master recipe, or like a roadmap type thing. If you want to lay it out, lay it all out. It actually helps a lot. We do that here with our clients. It helps out a ton when you lay out a roadmap, so you can at least see what you have, what your plan is. You can actually see if there's too much content happening on your website, too little content, maybe you need to segment a little bit more. And of course, last but not least, you want to make sure it's interesting. You don't want to have it to, again, where it's just jargon, it's a lot of technical stuff. It's too long, too lengthy. I definitely say between 500 to 1,000 words is great. Maybe 800 words is a good medium if you want to think about how long it should be. If it's longer than 1,000 words, you might want to segment it or maybe put it in kind of a 2-page type of thing where, again, like I was going back to the contact lenses, if you want to have one page about contact lenses, and then maybe you want to go into, soft versus hard or whatever it may be, you can have separate pages based on that to kind of help keep things a little more engaging. So make sure that when you are creating these things that you are keeping mind of how long it is, because a lot of people aren't going to want to sit there and read a whole, kind of like an article on something if they just need to get the information that they need in order to make a buying decision whether they want to come into your practice or not. Now, along with the content, of course, is going to be one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize is a huge selling point. Now, of course, the content is going to help with one thing. That's going to help get your website found. Okay, that's really kind of one of the main things about content. But then once it's found, what do you do once it is found? And then how do we keep people on the website? How do you get people to actually go from the website into your practice? Well, that's where some of the design actually comes in. Now, keep in mind, there's a couple things that a lot of people don't realize when it comes to design. You need to make sure that the design itself, which is, I'm going to go into the next piece of it, which is the branding, is thought out ahead of time, because a lot of times people will hire graphic design companies. They'll spend a lot of time and effort on other pieces of it, whether they're having other designers that they're paying for to work on their website. Whatever it may be, make sure that you aren't flipping and flopping left and right. That's one of the worst things you can do, is change not only your branding over and over again, but changing the look and the feel and the color and the theme and everything else constantly every single month. Now, I don't recommend that, okay? I do recommend to at least keep with it. If you are going to change it, stick with it for a little while, okay? If it's 6 months, that's fine, but you need to stick with it for a little while, but plan it out a little bit, okay? And that I'm giving that as a forewarning, because it will make your life a nightmare if you have to keep changing it back and forth. Now, with that said and done, what you want to make sure is you want to make sure that it's engaging. Now, first and foremost, you have to get this out of the way. Your website needs to be mobile responsive. If it is not mobile responsive, you will possibly be dinged by Google. There was a algorithm update that happened, going off the top of my head, I think it's April 21st. I think I might have hit it on the head, but I believe I think it was last year. I really apologize. I think it was last year. It could have been the year before that. But either way, it was called Mobilegeddon. There was no fancy, buttercup or cupcake update or ice cream sandwich, whatever, all the stuff that Google likes to do, Panda, all that kind of stuff. This one was a little more scary, because for the most part, you should be scared if you don't have a mobile website. So they called it Mobilegeddon. And what essentially that means is that they're really, again, along with the content, gearing towards those mobile users. I believe it's a little over 60% of Google searches happen on a mobile device. A lot of people are searching for things on the go, on their tablets, on their phones. And so the worst thing you can do is have a small, iPhone, and you're going to a website and you're on the go, and the website's not mobile responsive, and you have to scroll and zoom in and zoom out. It's horrible experience, absolutely horrible experience. Hopefully your website's mobile responsive. Now, what's the difference between mobile responsive and mobile friendly? Okay, mobile friendly basically means that it will have maybe one or two different versions of sizes of that website. So depending on, if you're lucky, it's on a certain device. For the most part, it's the most popular devices like iPads and iPhones, things like that. But if you're on a laptop or other devices that are, smaller, larger, whatever it may be, it might not be formatted completely to that format. It might just go to the next best available format, which might still involve scrolling and zooming in and zooming out, and still not be the greatest experience, although it is better than not being mobile friendly at all. Mobile responsive, however, okay, is basically when it will completely respond to no matter what size it is. You can stretch it, shrink it, it's like silly putty. I mean, it will reform no matter what size or shape it is. And that is exactly what you want to have, is a mobile responsive website. Reason being, again, is because of the fact that it is a bad user experience, and someone will definitely leave your website no matter how great your content is, no matter how great all your images look and your banner image and your logo, it doesn't matter. Okay, so let's get that part out of the way. Now that we got that part out of the way as far as mobile responsive, you want to make sure that the color scheme is not too bright. It doesn't bleed people's eyes. The worst thing you can do is pick colors that are extremely bright. You know, if you want to have a bright ketchup red and a bright mustard yellow all over your website, I guarantee it's going to bleed some eyes. It's not pleasing. So I'm not saying you have to have a muted feel. Now you can see how this kind of this tan look on the background of the slide deck. You know, obviously this blue is our iMatrix blue is what we call it. But you know, it's something where you don't want to have something too bright because it will hurt people's eyes. And again, that's a user experience issue. They will leave the website. Less is more. You want to make sure that you don't have it too flashy. In the days of old websites where they had marquees flashing and you know, cats and rainbows flying across the screen, whatever it may be, you want to make sure that it's less is more. Always kind of just assume to take the approach of like a Steve Jobs approach, like I almost said iMatrix, like a Apple approach. Okay, Apple is the king of minimalism. All right, they actually they do it the best, and it's almost kind of like it's trademarked for them. If you do it too much like them, you're going to look exactly like them. But the whole point of it is that less is more. You don't want to overcrowd your website with a ton of images all over the content, a ton of flashy buttons. It's an eyesore. You need to realize that, okay? So let's keep that in mind. Make sure that it's less is more. Make sure that it's consistent across the board. And again, that's going to be kind of where we're going into the branding phase. Now, branding is important, okay? Branding is definitely important. It's one of those things that people will know and recognize your branding from others if you have it done properly. Now, you want to keep it consistent. Keeping it consistent is, of course, on your business cards, your email footer, right? Your or signature, sorry, your website in general, all the colors, the themes, the social media banners, okay, Twitter banners, whatever it may be, everything matches, okay? Now, I don't recommend, okay, now I'm the marketing manager here at iMatrix, and I will tell you right now, if I saw our iMatrix blue everywhere, I would have a cow. It would be too much, okay? Now, I'm a big advocate of our brand, obviously, but again, that's going from less is more. You don't want to overdo it. Let's say you have a color of lime green, okay? That's your color. That's your theme, right? If your entire practice is lime, like all your walls are lime green, your business cards are lime green, it's a little too much. Hey, you're keeping it consistent, but it's a little too much. So you want to make sure that you keep that less is more mentality with your branding as well. And if you can do so, maybe kind of how like we have down here, as you can see, iMatrix, we've got our little brackets. Little brackets are kind of like our icon, our logo itself, right? If you want to do something like that where it's very minimal and it's just something that kind of, you know, refers to you or your branding, perfect. You don't have to have everything on there. iMatrix, we have our little bracket. We've got our iMatrix logo. Then we have our iMatrix logo with the slogan at the bottom. We probably have about 4 or 5 different versions of our logo. So if you ever want to think about that, or if you have a graphic designer working on something for you and your branding, maybe ask for a couple different versions that can be used on multiple different things. I can tell you right now, if we had, let's say, an iMatrix bowl, okay, I might want to put iMatrix, the full iMatrix logo on here. But if it was, let's say, a carton of milk, like right here, this would be perfect just for the brackets. Think of things like that. Now, I know it sounds like a lot of work, but again, if you have someone that's helping you out with the designs of your website, it's kind of a 101 in design. They know how to do all that stuff. I just want to make sure that I am kind of, you know, confirming that for you guys, the fact that that is kind of the way that you want to do it. And of course, if you do have something to where you have some kind of like brand promise, you know, let's say you have some kind of guarantee, all right, money back guarantee, or I see this a lot on the side of buses actually. If it's a car accident injury attorney or something like that, it's some kind of attorney, you know, we don't get paid unless you do type of thing. That's their slogan, right? That's their promise. You need to stick to it. You need to make sure that if you have something that you stick to it. You know, if you're not satisfied, your next visit is half off or whatever it may be. Make sure that whatever you do have, that it's consistent across the board, that you don't have different claims and different things like that, on your social media, and then another one on your business card, and another one on your website. It all needs to be consistent across the board, and you need to make sure that you uphold to that, okay? So whether it's content on your website, that's huge, huge, huge. Whether it's the branding itself or just overall the design aspect of it, make sure you have all of these incorporated together. It does sound like a lot of work. If you have questions, definitely let us know. So again, if you do have questions on that, let us know. But like I said before, those are the things that you definitely need to do on your website. If you currently aren't doing it on your website, make sure you put a plan together. Make sure that you have some kind of list of the services that you provide, maybe things that you can do to create those pages if you don't have those pages already. If you do have those pages created, perfect. Maybe the next step in content is actually video. Video content is huge right now. Video content is one of those things where people will, on the go, if they're on their mobile device, they'd rather watch a video than read an article. So having that video available, again, what do I do on video? Well, you got a bunch of service pages. You can make an individual video per service page. Maybe it's a little bit about you talking about, the in-office experience for that specific service. I'm going to go back to LASIK. Okay, LASIK is perfect. Maybe kind of give, maybe not obviously like a video on an actual LASIK surgery. I mean, unless you really want to do that, it's great. But maybe on some tips on what you need to do beforehand, or maybe tips on what you need to do after, post-op kind of thing. So there's a lot of different tips and tricks that people like to do. Other industries, let's say it's I'm just going to use a veterinarian as an example. They might have videos on how to give medicine to your cat or dog, or, how to properly clip their nails, that kind of thing. When it comes to optometry, when it comes to vision care, ophthalmology, all these different aspects of the eye care profession, you want to make sure that you are picking things that are not going to be too long. If you want to do a video, maybe have it be about a minute, 2 minutes, no longer than 5 minutes, no less than a minute, I guess you could say. I mean, a minute's not too long. People can watch a minute video. But again, you want to make sure that it's not something that's 20 seconds long. It's really kind of not worth even making. So again, if you have questions, give us a call. You can call us at 877-739-5442. We will go ahead and go over your current efforts on your website, kind of give you a free, it is a free, I'm not kind of a free, we will give you a free website evaluation. But we will give you an exclusive offer for attending this webinar. Just let us know if you have questions. We can go ahead and reach out to you, take a look at what you have in your current efforts, and kind of give you some tips and tricks. As well as if you do go to imatrix.com, we'll go ahead and pull it up here. Go to imatrix.com. You will see under About Us, there is a Resources tab. We have a lot of different resources here available, different infographics and slide shares on things from video statistics to crash coursing, your internet marketing, social media, everything in general, from PPC, SEO glossary, what does this mean, what does that mean, and all different other types of goodies on here as well. If you have questions on ebooks, white papers, different case studies that have helped our clients out from things that we have helped provide them, that will definitely help as well. So again, if you have any questions, let us know. Give us a call, and we will make sure to help you out. Thanks again, guys.